What's up, y'all? I want to welcome you to our page. This is my first video, and I wanted to reach out to all of the young veterans that are out there. Um, like I say, I just retired. So I just retired back in June. I did 20 years in the military, the Army specifically, um, 40 years old. And so if since retiring, I have wanted to become sort of like a veterans advocate because as veterans, we have to protect each other because there's a lot of shit that's going on right now that if you're not paying attention, you're missing out. So, one thing that really caught my attention that I've been paying very close attention to is they just did a hearing on VA disability compensation, right? So, if you're not tracking what's going on, there is a huge I think what they're trying to do is they're definitely trying to get the general public to turn against veterans who are receiving compensation. There is, if you have been tracking the Washington Post, well, even before the Washington Post, there was The Economist that came out, I want to say probably like last summer. They had an article that came out and it was talking about how, veterans are receiving too many benefits and all this other BS and all this other bull crap, and people started pushing back. Now, in the Washington Post, a few weeks ago, Dave posted something about about fraud, that basically calling all of us frauds as veterans, calling all of us frauds, that we're lying about our claims, we're lying about our disabilities, that claim sharks and all these other things and all this other bullshit that's going on. And so I put this title as the Young Veterans STFU, shut the F up because you're being watched. And the reason why I say this and I know this is because if you have not, like, again, I've been paying very close attention since becoming a veteran. Um, there was a hearing back in October, the end of October, October 28th, 29th, or something like that. They had a hearing on VA disability, right? It wasn't too many people there, too many senators that were there, but one senator that was there was Senator Tammy Duckworth. If you know anything about Senator Tammy Duckworth, you know that she is a combat veteran. She lost her legs, I want to say it was like 2004. I joined 2005. Around 2004, I believe, her plane was shot down in Iraq. And then she, recovered, rehabilitated herself, and became a senator. She got voted in to be a senator, and so she's been advocating for veterans. I think she sits on a veteran committee, and so she's been advocating for veterans ever since. But there's this one guy. If you haven't heard, his name is Lieutenant Colonel um, Daniel Gabe. I think it's Gade or Gabe, something like that, either GABE or GADE. And mind you, this guy is a 20-year veteran. He lost his legs in Iraq. He lost one of his legs in Iraq. And he is the biggest fucking blue falcon that we are going to have an issue with right now. He sat on that at that hearing, the Senate hearing, and he is not advocating for veterans at all. Not at all. This man has a PhD, but he's not a doctor. He's not like a medical doctor or a psychiatrist. He got a PhD in something. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely not in a medical field. This man has sat up there and told these senators that, you know, PTSD is curable, that a lot of soldiers are exaggerating their their injuries, and just a whole bunch of BS, a whole bunch of bullshit. And this guy's a veteran. Now, if you didn't know, I think it was yesterday. Yesterday was Veterans Day, I think. Yes, he did an. If you guys follow the YouTubers, the CivDiv and Veterans InfoTap, I follow them. Don't get me wrong. I do think that sometimes, sidebar, I do think that sometimes they use fearmonger, and they do use a little bit of clickbait at times to get people to watch their shit. But yesterday was very interesting. I didn't watch the entire thing when they was live, but I did watch it today. I did watch it today. They had him on there. They had him on there, Lieutenant Colonel Gabe. When I tell you, Jason, he's the one he owns the channel Veterans Info Tab. You can tell, you can see the frustration in his eyes because you're like, dude, you are a veteran yourself, and like you're literally going against veterans. Some people depend on this. Some people truly depend on this. This is their livelihoods. You know what I mean? For me, I get my pension, but I can tell you now, the VA disability is more than my pension, and I did 20 years. I retired as an E7 in the Army, 20 years on the dot. So this cat is just, he's just out there, and it's pretty frustrating. And what he did in that hearing and what they're doing, the Washington Post, and first of all, do you guys know who owned the Washington Post? I want you guys to take a second. Who do you think owns the Washington Post? I'll give you a hint. It's the same person that owns Amazon. Enough said, right? So they have been on this charade, doing all this bullshit. Washington Post trying to make veterans look bad, basically using this guy who said Lieutenant Colonel Gabe. They called him now. We gave him the nickname. They've been calling him Lieutenant Dan, Lieutenant Dan from Lieutenant Dan from freaking Forrest Gump. Now, Forrest Gump is one of my favorite movies, and Lieutenant Dan was not a Blue Falcon by any means. He had honor. He ended up on drugs and, fixed his life towards the end, but he was not a Blue Falcon by any means. But this cat, this Lieutenant Dan crap, this guy who they're nicknaming, is a total Blue Falcon. Mind you, he gets 100% disability. Mind you, he has his own business. 3, he be trying to promote his little bullshit book. uh, 4, he say, he doesn't know anything about Project 2025, which I call bullshit on, and just the things that he was doing. And I would watch some of the hearing, and what Washington Post have been doing is, this is why I say they are watching you guys. You young veterans that are like 25 years old, like I said, I'm 40, but you young veterans that are 25, under 30 years old, that did like one contract, and you walking around here with 100% P&T, they are watching you. They are watching you because what they're doing is they are collecting all these videos of you guys on YouTube, not YouTube, well, YouTube and TikTok. They are watching you guys. They're like, oh, look at these 25-year-olds. They're not disabled. They're out here, in Thailand, over here doing backflips on the beach and all this other shit. You guys need to be very, very cautious. They are really watching you guys, and they're trying to make, they're if you read anything about Project 2025, I read Project 2025 way before the election back in 24 last year. I read it months out, and I was horrified. Especially, I went straight to the Veterans Affairs section, and the things that you see that these people want to do, the Heritage Foundation, the things that you see they want to do, they're talking about if you have a 30% rating, they want to pretty much cut that. They talking about means testing. If you make a certain amount of money, they want to basically take dollars out of your compensation based on how much money that you're making. And also they've even talked about taxing the compensation. Now this guy, this Lieutenant Dan Gabe guy, retired guy, he wants to cut, if you at 60%, he wants to cut that. Now you have a lot of veterans. Remember, we still have Desert Storm veterans that are still alive. We still have Vietnam veterans that are still alive. Some of them are like in their late 60s, early 70s or whatnot. I don't think we have any World War II veterans still with us present, but this guy is a total battle buddy fucker. He, after watching the whole thing today, the interview that he did with the two guys, and he's all about this. Oh, it's my morals and all this. When I went to my VA appointment while I was still active duty, they was telling us, oh, claim this and claim that. I'm like, he's like, oh, well, that's just not what I want to do. And I lost my leg, so that's just what I want to claim. And the guy VSO was talking about, oh, I had a TBI, and I was like, well, I don't want to claim that. And he on this whole moral bullshit BS, and I'm just not buying what he's putting out. I believe that he is working for someone because it is an effort. Because as you saw when Trump became president, you saw them go step by step into each of our institutions and started collecting information, started taking them and closing them down, started firing veterans, started firing all these folks. It's all coordinated. That's what I believe, and that's what I'll take that to my grave. That's what I believe, that it's all coordinated. There is a psyop that has been thrown onto the American people. I know what a psyop is because I was in special operations. I was in civil affairs, so in the Army. So I'm telling you that there is definitely a psyop that is being played on the American people right now. And the psyop is to get the American people to go against veterans so that when they do, or if they try to come for our compensation, they are definitely that the American people, the blowback won't be so bad or whatever. The general public won't be like, but that's wrong, this and that. The general public, oh well, just another thing that's happening. I'm telling you, that's what they're doing because these billionaires want more money. These rich folks want more of this and that, while the poor continue to be poor. That's just my theory on this, and this is why I say, and this is all I love for my veterans, my young veterans. You know, you guys need to be very, very careful what you're posting because they are watching. They are truly watching. We laugh and you see the videos of, the joke videos of the guys and the cameras in the bushes. I'm telling you, they don't have to do that because you guys are already posting it on YouTube and you're posting it on TikTok in these young, vibrant faces. And this Lieutenant Dan guy, his whole philosophy is, oh, it's my morals and all this other bullshit. And one thing that shocked me in this whole video that he did with those two guys, the two YouTubers, was that he said, "Oh, I'm a father. I'm this, and that. I don't consider myself to be a veteran." How do you not consider yourself to be a veteran and you are a veteran? That alone lets you know. That alone lets you know that this guy's a battle buddy fucker, that he is a Blue Falcon, that it's obvious that there is an agenda that's being pushed. That's why I say there's a psyop. There's an agenda that's being pushed that they're trying to throw onto the American people. And I think you young veterans need to wake up and stop posting your, oh, I got 100% PNT and this and that. You over here doing backflips and shit in Thailand. Stop doing it because erase it if you can, because they are watching. They're collecting all this information, all this data, so that they can have an excuse to sit up there and F over people. We've earned our compensation. Like I said, I've been in 20 years. I joined when I was 19 in 2005. I have so many ailments, and I'm not missing legs and arms and stuff like that, like some people did who had it really bad when Afghanistan and Iraq wars were popping off. Because I joined at the 2005 at the height of it as we were heating up. I went straight from airborne school to to the desert to Afghanistan. Did a year. You know what I mean? And then other deployments amongst that. But I'm telling you, they are watching. They are watching. He just don't. His whole philosophy is he thinks that some things are not service connected. Like his big thing is sleep apnea. I was diagnosed with sleep apnea. Excuse me. I was diagnosed with sleep apnea. He has an issue with, when you have issues with your feet, your knees, like just anything. He just don't think that is service connected. I'm just like, sir. So to him, having a disability is when you get your fucking legs blown off or something. Mind you, that is a disability. But for him to sit up there and say that any other ailments are not service connected, mind you, we've been rucking. Some of us ruck, what, 75 pounds a week? When you have to make, when we used to do the 12 milers, you had 3 hours to do it. When you have to run miles and miles and miles, and you've done that for me for 20 years, when you have to make sure that you keep up with the PT standards, the APFT standards, or whatever it is now, like I can read off a whole list of things that I have that would make you say, no way, because I'm not missing any limbs or anything like that. You would think, oh, well, you're not disabled. But I have a lot of things. I suffer from PTSD. There was things that I saw in Afghanistan and throughout my career where I started having nightmares, and I was put on Lexapro. I was put on, medications. I went to go see a psychiatrist and stuff like this. Um, I found out 2 years ago. All of this is on active duty. Mind you, I just retired in June. All of this is on active duty. I found out that I had a benign brain tumor, which I think is related to me being in Afghanistan and being around burn pits. So, on top of other things, I have plantar fasciitis in both my feet. I cannot run. I cannot walk far because my feet hurt. And I had surgery on my left foot for it, but it still hurts. It's still in recovery. It's still very painful. My spouse would tell you that it's still very painful. So I say all of that just to say, don't let nobody tell you that you know your pain and suffering is not, it's all in vain, because it's not. Because these are pains that you have to live with for the rest of your life. I have to live with this for the rest of my life. Every 6 months I have to go to the doctor and get an MRI to make sure that this thing that's in my head is not growing. I texted the doctor. I said, well, what can we do? They gave me three options. They said we can either cut your skull open and get it out, we can do radiation, or three, we can just leave it because it's not growing. Nothing's happening. It's just there. We don't know how it's there, but it's just there. They discovered it 2, 3 years ago. It's just there. Mind you, I found out about it 2 years ago. Actually, I found out last August. I found out about it. You know how I found out about it? Because I was having multiple headaches. I was having horrible headaches, but I had a concussion. We did a one night jump one time and I landed. It wasn't a good night jump at all. It wasn't a good jump at all. I landed on my head and it just, I went to the hospital the next day only because my supervisor had forced me to go because I was talking, but he said I was talking like Charlie Brown. He was like, yo, I need to go to the doctor right now. Went, they did a scan to say, yeah, you have an acute concussion, sir. I didn't go to sleep that night. I had a bad headache. I just thought, I came up through that military, through that army, where you were seen as weak if you went to sick call. You know what I mean? And that's still a thing. But I'm going to tell you now, for those of you, if you see this video, if you're still in, go to sick call. Make sure you get everything documented because I'm telling you now, what's coming down the pipeline with VA compensation is, I think they're going to end up taking away the disability part of it and just call it VA compensation. And what they're going to do is, I think that they're going to make it much harder. They're already changing the schedules, the rating schedules and stuff, getting rid of certain things or whatnot. So I'm going to tell you, as someone, as a leader, that I need you guys to make sure, if you're still in the military, that you are getting your just dues, that you are actually going to the doctors and being seen. Don't do what I did and try to tough it out, because that's what I did. And now here I am, 40 years old and can't run. My feet hurt. I have to sleep with a damn machine at night. Sleep apnea is serious. You can die from that. On top of worrying about this thing that I'm dealing with, um, other pains in my back. Like, I have to be watch how I get up. Everything. Like, I'm telling you, it's really bad, man. The army is going to, the military in general is going to work the shit out of you. They're going to get all that you can out of it. When I came in and when I was a kid, the motto was always be all that you can be in the army. And that's all I ever knew how to do, was to be all that I can be in the army. But I've always cared about other people, and this is why I'm putting this video out. Like, me and my spouse, we haven't did our intro video or anything like that. We're still learning how to use Canva and all this other crap. But I just wanted to get this out to all the young soldiers out there, because I think that you guys need to know about this. And to my young vets out there, be careful. Please be careful. Don't be out there posting your financial business and on Thailand. Oh yeah, I'm 110%. PNT. Don't do it. They are watching the Washington Post. They are compiling data and videos of everyone, and they are definitely, they're sitting up here in these hearings because nobody cares about it. And I was kept wondering, like, why isn't the Secretary of the VA, Collins, Secretary Collins, why isn't he there at that hearing? He wasn't at that hearing, but there were some other advocates that were there on behalf of us, like the DAV, the VFW veteran something, and some other folks that were there that was advocating for us, because they knew that this Lieutenant Colonel, Lieutenant Dan, you guys are probably going to hear about him. You're probably watching YouTube and come across some VA stuff, and you'll hear about this guy, a total battle, a battle buddy fucker, a blue falcon, like the true definition of it. He got his, so now he want to pull the rug from everybody else, and that don't sit right with me as a leader. That does not sit right with me whatsoever. But he said enough. He said everything that I needed to hear when he said that, well, I'm not a veteran. I don't consider myself a veteran. I'm like, first of all, you're getting a compensation check. You're getting VA benefits, your family, your kids, your wife, your spouse. So how can you sit there and say that you're not a veteran, but you're utilizing all of these things? This man has some mental issues, and you can tell when you look into his eyes, like, something is truly wrong with him. And I do think, well, I didn't hear about Project 2025. I call bullshit on that. Again, I call BS on it. I call BS on it, because I know for a fact the way he was talking, it kind of lined up. But if you don't know what Project 2025 is, especially with the Veteran Affairs part, you wouldn't know. But I know, because I did my homework prior to the election so that I can make a very educated decision on who I was going to vote for. But I already knew that this guy was full of shit. And it took everything out. Like, you want to punch your TV because you're watching this. Like, you want to punch this dude in the fucking face because you're like, I see what you're trying to do, and you're going to F over the next generation of soldiers. And trust me, things are going to change, because if things escalate, especially it looks like from as of today, Trump and them is getting ready to go into Venezuela. So, I mean, I don't see that going to be as a contingency like Iraq, Afghanistan to that level. I don't see that happening. But my heart hurts to see a veteran, well, he doesn't consider himself a veteran, to try to F over other veterans. You know what I mean? It's just like, dude, the things we put our bodies through. But I'm like, just like I said, I think he's salty because he lost his legs. Honestly, he lost his leg. So he's kind of salty about it. And then, oh, I have all these studies. I've been studying all of this and this and that. Sir, first of all, you're not a doctor. You're not a doctor at all. So nobody gives a damn what you've been studying. Nobody cares. And somebody said the best opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. Like, what you're saying is not scientifically proven. To sit up there and say that something like PTSD is curable. I've been dealing with PTSD since 2018. Like, mind you, like I said, I've been in 2005. I remember. I'm going to tell some more stories. I don't want to get too in depth on it, but I'll tell a story. Make more videos and stuff like that. One thing about this channel, like I said, me and my spouse, we haven't done our intro, but our channel is going to be about just about everything. We're going to talk politics a little bit, but mainly me. I talk that, but my main concern is my veterans. I want to tell my military story, the BDD process. I want to help some people out there, tell them how to go through that process in the retirement process, and just a whole bunch of other things, traveling, um, everything, because we're getting ready to make another move and everything. We live here in Puerto Rico, and so I want to tell all these stories to help you guys out there, like I say. But I had to make this video because I was so pissed off. But my veterans, please, my young veterans, and those who are getting ready to transition, do not feel sorry, my hair is kind of messed up. We just came back from vacation. But don't feel bad about claiming. You claim everything that you can. As long as you have proof in your medical records, you have nothing to shy away from, because everything in my medical records is in there. Everything that I claimed is in there. I went through the BDD process, so they can never claim fraud. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, you know, like I said, I was in Special Operation Forces, CA, and we had a doctor, and you make an appointment with her, and you got to get your medical records, all of your medical records. And I sent her my medical records, and what she does is she literally sits down with you. She sits down with you, and she goes line by line and say, look, this is what you need to claim right here, because this is for your pain and suffering. Like, you've dealt with these pains for years. You've been going to sick call. You've taken the medications. You claim this. We went line per line. So none of my shit is fraud, because everything that I claimed is in my medical records. And as I went through the BDD process, as I was retiring, I didn't have any issues whatsoever. I made my CMP exams while I was going through SFL TAP, and I put it in God's hands as far as whatever the outcome was going to be. You know what I mean? So yeah. But you young vets, be careful, please. I'm on your team. Be very careful. They are watching. They are compiling. They are. They even talked about, if you guys know who Combat Craig is on YouTube. He was a VA. I think he was a VSO or something like that, and he used to always help people, especially the older veterans who just are now finding out about VA compensation and all this other stuff, but their aches and pains of what they went through while they was in the military. He was made videos or whatnot, but he passed away, I think, like 2 months ago. I think he had like fell down the stairs, if I believe, something like that. But in that hearing, the Senate hearing, they brought him up to my, oh yeah, you got claim sharks and you got these YouTubers that are, encouraging people to cheat and lie, and like, yeah, yeah, this is happening, folks. It's a psyop. They're really trying to, to persuade the general public to turn against veterans after 20 years of war that we just went through in Iraq, Afghanistan. It's pretty heartbreaking, and it's pretty sad when you think about it. And there will be second and third order effects. Now, if veterans decide that we want to, you know, have a rally or have a protest, it's all there because for one thing, we are not our grandparents. We're not going to let them dig us around like they did our grandparents when they came back from wars, and and didn't have much of nothing. We're not going to do that. We bust our asses in training. We bust our asses when we were deployed. No. So this Lieutenant Dan Gabe guy, look him up. Go look him up when you guys get the chance, and you will see what I'm talking about. And it only encourages people not to join, to be honest. It's just like, well, why would I want to put my body through that if I'm not going to get anything in the end? And it's not like everybody, like, you don't join the military just to get disability. That's not what you join for. You join for the honor, you join for the camaraderie, you join for the experience. You know what I mean? That's why I stayed in the military for 20 years, because I loved it. I did. I loved it. I enjoyed my career. I did. I gave it all that I can, and I made a promise to myself. As soon as I finished basic training back in 2005, I would never forget it. I said, you know what? I want to do this for 20 years. I want to do this. And I did. I finished it. Was it easy? Hell no. Would I do it again? I don't know that. But now that I know what I know, but in the end, I can tell you it's worth it. You know what I mean? I got two incomes. Um, you do get aches and pains, man. I am living. I do take medications and stuff like that, but it's I can relax, enjoy life a little bit, and not be as stressed. But just be careful. Please be careful. So with that being said, go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be in the comments. Whoever sees this video, we can chat, and we'll go from there. So best of luck and good luck to you guys. All right. Be very careful. They're watching you.